top-ranked boxing at 9 this evening. Good night.
Don't drink and drive. A public service message from ESPN.
Coming up on Speedweek, new winners in IMSA, a clean sweep for modified street tires.
All the new rookies test at Indianapolis.
And a first-time winner in NASCAR stocks.
This and more coming up on Speedweek.
Speedweek is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, makers of high-performance TA radials. We make cars perform. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads. Depend on STP, your car care company.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Speed Week. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. Bob, it was a big weekend for the B.F. Goodrich Porsches at the IMSA race in Riverside, California.
That's right, Larry. Not only a win, but a 1-2 sweep. Here's a report from Bob Varsha.
Following a one-race hiatus on the International Motorsports Association Camel GT circuit, Porsche returned to the winner's circle Sunday in the Los Angeles Times Nissan Grand Prix at Riverside, California. 46,000 people were on hand as 59 cars took the green flag for the 5th race of the 85 season behind pole sitter Al Holbert of Warrington, Pennsylvania in his number 14 Porsche 962. Early trouble befell the fastest car in the field, the Buick March Turbo driven by John Paul Jr. of West Palm Beach, Florida, and Canadian Bill Adam, sidelined with an electrical problem on lap 8. Holbert and co-driver Al Unser Jr. of Albuquerque, New Mexico led 65 of the race's 115 laps before a turbocharger broke. That moved the number 68 Porsche 962 of Californians Pete Halsmer of Anaheim and John Morton of El Segundo into the lead, followed by their B.F. Goodrich-sponsored sister Porsche driven by Jim Busby and Rick Knoop, both of Laguna Beach, California. The pair of Porsches raced together to a 1-2 sweep, the second straight race on the IMSA circuit won by a pair of cars from the same team. Halsmer and Morton edged Busby and Knoop at an average speed of 108.11 miles per hour, collecting the first-place check for $20,000.
They called me on the radio and said, let the other car catch up and be close, and it looked good, and I said, okay, but they better not pass us.
The victory in the Camel Lights class for small-engine prototype cars went to the Georgia team of Atlanta's Jim Downing and John Mafucci of Conyers in a Mazda-powered Argo racer. For the 5th straight race, the GTO title for big-bore sports cars went to the Ford Mustang, driven by Canadian John Jones and Wally Dallenbach Jr. of Basalt, Colorado. And the GTU crown for smaller sports cars was won by the Mazda RX-7 of Georgia's Jack Baldwin and Californian Jeff Klein. In other events at Riverside on Sunday, Cal Choquette of Trussville, Alabama drove his Dodge Daytona to victory in the West Coast season opener of the Champion Spark Plug Challenge for front-wheel drive cars. And the inaugural Renault Alliance Cup race of 1985 went to Oakland, California's Parker Johnstone. The next stop on the IMSA calendar is next Sunday, May 5th, at Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California. From Riverside International Raceway, this is Bob Varsha reporting.
The inaugural IMSA Columbus 500 race really heating up. The area Ford dealers will sponsor, and Goodyear will pay a $100,000 bonus if the same driver wins both at Columbus and at Mid-Ohio.
Last year, 3 of the top 5 finishers in the Indianapolis 500 were graduates of the Rookie Orientation Program. Obviously, this is a pretty good school. For the second year in a row, lots of 190-plus speeds, but no spins or incidents. 7 drivers took part, and although Ed Pym was the fastest, about 9 over 190, speed wasn't paramount. Without a doubt, Willy T Ribbs was the biggest news because the normally non-racing media really hyped this, which was probably just the next logical step in a successful career.
It's getting used to it, you know. I mean, I had, 9 or 10 races in a Formula Atlantic car, and then coming in here, it's different. So I'm gonna do what's right. I'm not gonna go overboard and try to bend the car. We want to just play up. I just wish I would add a little bit more test time and some practice time instead of getting thrown in here like this.
But after reaching 170, Willie withdrew, citing a need for more experience in this type of car. He will race later this year in New York. 6 passed the program offered. Dick Simon brought former crewman and Salt Lake neighbor racer young Mike Nish and Brazilian Raul Pizel. The Arciero team was present for Floridian and IMSA champ Randy Lanier. Provimi Veal had a Lola for Super V champ Ari Luyendijk, and Himmelgarn Racing fielded for Can-Am champ Michael Rowe in this champion rookie field. And of course, Pim was with Gurney Curb Racing. Over 2,000 practice miles, clean slate.
Sears Point International Raceway in Sonoma, California hosted a series of races this past weekend. Saturday, the second SCCA Playboy Showroom Stock Endurance Race of 1985. 2 questions going in. First, would the Corvettes dominate as they did in the first race at Riverside? And secondly, would the winner be on Goodyear tires and collect an additional $50,000? 67 started this event. Traffic early is worse than on the freeway. And spins are not uncommon. The first 13 qualifiers are in vets, led by former Trans Am competitor Bob Lobenberg in number 84. The highest starting Porsche, Matthewson's Racing's 944. Lobenberg leads for about the first hour and a half, then begins to fade. By nightfall of the 6-hour endurance, the vet is in for major repairs and will finish 17 laps off the pace. Scoring problems beset the first race at Riverside, and there were some here also. The number 97 Morrison Cook vet was given the checkered first, but a recheck shows the number 50 vet with Peter Lockhart and Richard Sipos the winner. And yes, they were on Goodyears. The top 8 were Corvettes. Earlier Saturday, the second VW Golf race of the year. Kurt Matthewson won the first event, but his hatchback comes loose here, and he settles for a 13th. Michael Hoppen beats Peter Schwartzott to the checkered.
Coming up next, NASCAR West takes a crack at the curves of a road course,
while NASCAR North takes a spin on the oval.
BF Goodrich TA Radials. Update. For enthusiasts. Subject. Advanced Tire Laboratories. Top speed. About 220 miles an hour. 0 to 60. About 4 seconds. Tires. Experimental BF Goodrich TA Radials. Cars. Porsche 962s. The ultimate BF Goodrich Laboratories. Testing the technology of tomorrow's tires. Of course, we like to win, but we race to learn. And learn we do. Because no test track can possibly duplicate the forces that act on tires quite like the racetrack. And the racetrack is where TA Radial technology develops in competition with special-purpose racing tires. The result? High-performance street tires for you. Watch TA Radials and Porsche perform today and see the technology of tomorrow. BF Goodrich TA Radials. We make cars perform.
450 degrees. That's how hot parts of your car's engine can get, even in ordinary driving.
Watch how heat and stress can break apart your oil's protected molecules. That's motor oil breakdown. STP oil treatment's heat-activated molecules fight motor oil breakdown. Wear agents.
Get extra protection. Fight motor oil breakdown with STP oil treatment. STP. Your car care company.
Strength, pride, tradition. For centuries, the Clydesdales have been known as a special breed. Today, the Clydesdales symbolize Budweiser's dedication to quality, superior ingredients, exclusive beechwood aging, and a distinctively clean, crisp taste only Budweiser can offer. Quality taste, because this Bud's for you.
Until last week at Martinsville, NASCAR had only 3 different winners, and they all had more than 1 win. Harry Gant has now joined the win list. Here's John Kernan with a report.
Gant started the race from well back in the pack, 7 rows behind pole sitter Darrell Waltrip, and set a new qualifying record in earning the top starting spot. And Waltrip started the race as the obvious favorite, along with Jeff Bodine, the defending race champion, his partner on the front row. As is usually the case on the short tracks, there was a lot of sheet metal trading and spinouts. Here, number 17, Phil Parsons, blows a tire coming into turn 1 to bring out the 5th of 10 cautions on the day. Of course, that was a minor one. This wasn't, as Tim Richmond and Morgan Shepherd mixed it up in the front stretch. Shepherd, who'd had high hopes after starting 3rd, was finished for the day.
Yeah, it's a tough break for the Carolina Tool Car. You know, it was running good, and we was just sitting there abiding our time.
Off before, and it looked like he blew a right rear tire, and when he did, I was so close to him, and he turned it sideways, like, you know, the car turned sideways on him, and it looked like he was going to stay up there, so I committed to the bottom, and when I did, his car started to come to the bottom also.
Richmond was able to race on after some body work, but he could do no better than a 21st place finish. As the race wound down, it became a battle between Bobby Allison, who'd never won a race at Martinsville, and Gant, who'd chalked up his first Grand National victory there. And with 68 laps left to go, Gant pushed past Allison to take the lead for good, winning the race under caution.
The car was so good today. Manuel Savakis, you know, and Travis Carter had set the car up and worked things out real good, and they assured me the last practice yesterday is going to really be good today. That you ain't going to have no problem.
Jeff Bodine is back atop the Winston Cup point standings. Labonte, Bonnet, Elliott, and Waltrip are 2 through 5. Speed, Rudd, Gant, Earnhardt, and Allison are the second 5.
Modified supported the Grand Nationals this week. Richie Who Else Evans, new track record, 97 miles per hour, 7 faster than the GNs. He started out leading but mechanically faded. Jeff Fuller flamed out, and on a restart, Charlie Jarzenbeck and Reggie Ruggiero brushed. Charlie later admitted, yeah, I hit him, but we were both going for it. Brian Ross, current points leader, made it a bumper-to-bumper exciting finish, but the venerable one from Long Island is now 2 for 2 here this year.
While the Grand National drivers back east were competing for the 8th time this year, the Winston West drivers were competing for the first time of 1985 here at Sears Point International Raceway. And the race boiled down to a Herschel McGriff versus sitter number 04 led the first 2/3 of the race, then was passed by defending Winston West champion Jim Robinson in number 78. Bill Schmidt was running with the leaders until a tire blew. He was towed back to the pits and was restarted, finished 11th. Last year's Rookie of the Year, Derek Cope, started 6th, but encountered the guardrail early and wound up 5th. Jim Bound struggled to a 4th place finish. Rookie candidate Glenn Stewart was impressive in 3rd. 15 laps from the finish, McGriff retook the lead and beat Robinson to the checkered.
Well, there was a doubt because I was having brake problems. I lost my pedal. I just had to pump them all the time, and that's very aggravating. I did have good brakes, except I had to pump up the straightaway down the hill with my left foot, and so this kind of takes your concentration off.
Next stop for Winston West, May 11th at Shasta Speedway in Anderson, California.
NASCAR was also active up in the northeast corner of this vast country.
Race number 2 of the NASCAR North Coors Tour, that track called Catamount Stadium. Over 10,000 watched Kevin LePage streak away, but when ignition problems stall him out entering turn number 1, he's drilled from behind and scrambles the field. On the restart, Massachusetts' Joey Carafas snares the lead. Beaver Dragon and others are very close, and it's a great joust to the end. But Dragon is second, then Randy LaJoy, Dick McCabe, and Quebec's Roger Lapero.
In our next segment, sprinters run up a tire bill in Ohio,
while midget tires just run upside down in California.
USA, a place to spend your days and nights. USA, where you can let your mind take flight. USA, USA, USA.
If you love cooking and want a rewarding career, Newberry Junior College is your first step in becoming a professional chef. At our Culinary Arts campus in Boston, earn an accredited 2-year associate degree and develop your skills in state-of-the-art kitchens. Classes start year-round. Residence halls are Newberry Junior College now at 1-800-451-7000. That's Newberry, 1-800-451-7000.
A Lee close-up. There's a menace in your motor oil. Dirt you can't see. Micro grit. Today's engines are smaller, harder working. Micro grit is leaving its mark. Scratching, grinding away. The unique Lee 2-stage traps the dirt you can't see. It's designed for today's smaller, harder working engines. For clean oil. Lee 2-stage maxi filter. It traps micro grit.
Travel arrangements made through Eastern Airlines. Whether you're traveling on business or pleasure, chances are Eastern has a convenient flight going.
Sunday's USAC Sprint winner Rick Hood sprinted to a waiting plane with car owner Damon Blackie Fortune, flew to Hobstadt, Indiana, and won again, capping off a great weekend. Larry was at Eldora.
Every racing division has its traditions and its legends, and for the USAC Sprint Car Division, maybe Eldora is the tallest of them all. Well, this is a special race this Sunday at Eldora. It's also the anniversary of Mr. and Mrs. Earl Baldest. Now, last night there was a sprint car race here, and Jack Haudenschild, who starts way in the back of this field today, was the winner. Second place was Ricky Hood. He got beat by just a Hood last night. Today, he starts sixth. Today's surface, hard, dry predictions. This would be a rubber match. But Rich Vogler roars off from the pole while names like Hewitt, Rice, Sheldon Kinzer, Butler, and Hood caused a desert storm behind him. Former midgeteer Warren Mockler having his best day, a tire conservative 7th. Then 10 laps into the 40, things begin to pop. Local favorite Jack Hewitt led briefly, then bang, right rear. Now halfway, Haudenschild in the red and white 1 up against turn 3's wall, and Larry Rice follows him in. Pretty soon, more tire shredding than shredded Ohio wheat. First, Levitt, Rice, Tony Elliott even dismounts. Haudenschild, Danny Milburn, and Paul Huntington in unison. Then Hewitt for the second time. Rice for a second time. No wonder Oval Redenbachers from the Midwest, darn near every contender's popped, except Rick Hood. With half the grid blowing out, 19th starter Greg Staub comes from nowhere, burning up his tire, but also the rest of the field. On the last lap, Vogler suddenly slows. Yup, tire, and Greg gets second to Hood. Mockler ends up third, Kelly Kinzer and Harris fourth, and Elliott, despite that mid-race stroll, is fifth.
2 disqualifications punctuated Saturday night's USAC midget race at Ascot Park in Gardena, California. There was this action before the feature. Robbie of Rusty Rasmussen. In the 30-lap main event, Bob Ellis grabbed the lead from Wally Pankratz after a yellow and won his first feature. Both Pankratz and third-place finisher Sleepy Tripp were disqualified for not allowing an after-race engine check. Rasmussen now leads the Western States point standings. In other USAC results, Dave Fitzgerald won the USAC Supermodified Regional race near Boise, Idaho.
World of Outlaws, Bobby Allen set a record at Knoxville, Iowa, first time ever under 17 seconds. Steve Kinzer and Bobby Davis Jr. flipped viciously at the start of the feature, no injury. Sammy Swindell won 3 races worth over $14,500. Mike Sweeney won his 3rd in CRA. He's the only multiple winner. Rip Williams' 2nd finally broke Brad Knopfsinger's string of 5 straight fast times. Jeff Knuckles, paralyzed in a midget crash last summer, returned to his family's Columbus, Ohio Motor Speedway Sunday behind the PA microphone. Jimmy Horton, hot so far this year, and Billy Pouch, the stars of the East weekend of modified racing. Pouch, however, was injured Sunday in a flip, apparently not serious.
Alan Kulwicki won the ASA race in Georgia by half a second. Bob Sineker, who won the opener in Cincinnati, was second as Fords go 1-2 again. And Butch Lindley, injured badly in Florida, remains unconscious, listed as critical. The Short Track Auto Racing Series, Stars for short, moved to Hagerstown, Maryland on Sunday, and Rodney Franklin raced to a convincing victory. Franklin, in number 33, started 5th, but despite brake problems during the race, never faced a serious challenge. He beat Billy Moyer, who was in his first ever appearance at Hagerstown, by about 2 seconds. Moyer battled wheel to wheel with Bob Pierce, who finished 3rd. Gary Stuhler and Sam Nally rounded out the top 5.
Coming up in our next segment, motorcyclists, present and future, gather out west.
And an up-close and personal with one of NASCAR's finest. Stay with us.
Bigger engines were easy on oil. But today's smaller, higher revving engines are tougher. They can break down an oil's viscosity within 1,500 miles. That's why there's Castrol. Tests show Castrol suffers no significant breakdown of viscosity even after 5,000 miles. So use Castrol, because if you make things too hard on your engine could make things hard on you. Castrol, engineered for smaller cars.
In a battle to free do-it-yourselfers from ordinary superglues that run, drip, and stick your fingers, victory is ours. New Duro Quick Gel Superglue stays exactly where you put it. We shall use Quick Gel on the china, on the leather, the metal, the wood, almost everything. With Quick Gel, we shall Duro it right. We shall never run or drip.
This weekend's motorcycle action spanned all age groups and experience of professionalism. The Superbikes. This is between LA and Bakersfield, just the second event of the year. Houston's Kevin Schwantz kind of made a shambles of the field with wins in both 40-mile segments, his first major win with AMA. Defending champ Fred Merkel second both times, although he came from last in the second heat. Just down I-15, a couple of 100 miles, Kawasaki invited youngsters from around the world, put them on equally prepared bikes and turned them loose. Plus, motorcycles were rotated after each of 3 motos. Idaho's Lowell Thompson emerged as the king of the race of champions.
The AMA Supercross riders in Orlando's Tangerine Bowl, teenager Ron Lachine swept both motos for the second time, his third overall victory. No one else has 2. Ricky Graham will return this weekend. He's been injured trail riding and steeplechasing in the last year, but will race on the mile at San Jose. Can-Am is not dead yet. They'll race at Mossport and Lime Rock, where the participants themselves will make future plans, which might include old Indy cars despite the presence of Kart's B-Series.
Nürburgring's Formula 3000 race snowed out, and the World Endurance Cup race at Monza, Italy, shortened by gale force winds. A fallen tree killed spectators, and another was almost hit by Jonathan Palmer. Manfred Brinkelhock and Mark Schurer declared the winners.
John Paul Jr. is named the driver of the Armstrong Big Knotty Indy car, vacated by Willy T Ribbs. They're seeking sponsorship. René Arnoux, now without a Formula One ride, apparently will drive for Theodore at Indy. When the Grand National cars run at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, a family reunion and barbecue are held in an area outside North Wilkesboro called Parsonsville. It's where Benny Parsons grew up. The ride through the streets of North Wilkesboro and out to the Parsons place brings back a lot of memories for Benny. Some things that would later play a big part in his life.
Somewhere right in here is where I got my driver's license. One of these buildings in here used to be where they had the license examiner. This used to be the straightaway now. This is what we used to really let her hang out on, this straightaway when we were kids. In this corner? And going into this corner. Probably 100 miles an hour through that. 120 would probably be an exaggeration. About 100 miles an hour through that turn.
To get to Parsonsville, you have to slow down from that kind of speed because the road is dirt or gravel, but the scenery is tremendous.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Finally, you're there. The cooking of chicken and fish has already started, and of course there's plenty to drink. But this outing means a chance to renew old acquaintances for Benny, and a chance to reminisce about years ago when he was growing up in this house.
When I was in this house, when I went to sleep in this house, or when I sit out here by myself and daydreamed, I did not dream about being a race car driver. I dreamed about being a football player or a baseball player, or it had to do with athletics. It was in 1955 or 56 that I went to my first Grand National race in North Wilkesboro, and Tim Flock won the race in a Chrysler, and I always remember he was from Atlanta, Georgia, which was a long way away from here, and that gave it a ring of respectability, I guess, the fact that he wasn't a fellow in Wilkes County. He was from Atlanta, Georgia, in North Wilkesboro racing.
Benny, of course, went from this humble beginning to a Grand National Championship and nearly $3 million in earnings. The old Parsons place is a long way from the fast lane at Daytona or Talladega. There are no race engine noises out here, just the sound of that old creek that rose to a dangerous level one year, flowing silently to the sea.
Now here's this week's trivia teaser. Among the following, who has never won a Winston West Grand National race? A. Roger Penske, B. Dan Gurney, C. Bill Cheeseburg, D. Joe Rutman, E. Dick Rathman. Bob will have the answer in a moment.
BF Goodrich TA Radials update for enthusiasts. Subject, off-road traction. More professional off-road races and more pro rallies were won last year on the same BF Goodrich TA Radials you can buy than on any other tires. One reason. Proven technology goes into a complete line of TA Radials for many driving styles, including yours. BF Goodrich TA Radials. We make cars and trucks perform.
Folks, Ned Jarrett here to tell you about a brand new double record album. 21 favorite Grand National drivers sing 21 original songs written by top Nashville songwriters. Drivers like Labonte, Elliott, Earnhardt, Allison, Bodine, Yarborough, Kyle Petty, just to name a few. Send check or money order for $19.95 plus $3 handling to World Series of Country Music in care of ESPN, Box 1235, Gallatin, Tennessee, 37066, or call 1-800-423-5181.
Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. Roger Penske, Dan Gurney, Bill Cheeseburg, and Dick Rathman each have a win in Winston West competition. D, Joe Rutman does not, despite the fact that he has the fastest qualifying lap in Winston West history at Phoenix International Raceway.
If you're over 30 or maybe know someone who is, just sit back in your easy chair. Squint those eyes a little. Maybe you can smell, hear. Frankie Schneider, Wally Campbell, Bobby Gerhardt. Those were some of the people who made Eastern racing in the 40s and 50s. The memory hasn't faded thanks to the Oval Antique Stock Car Club in the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area. The amazing thing here is they race, not just sit and show off. Anybody who's been to a race in the 50s can remember the coupes, sedans, flatheads, when modifieds were modified stock cars. They raced often and many different people won. How's this for nostalgia? The flagman starting the feature from on the track. Winner tonight, Russ Smith, his factory reject #1. Ah, those were the days. But then again, maybe these are the days.
Kind of takes you back to your childhood, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Next week on Speed Week, NASCAR at Talladega and the opening of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. We leave you with the Judd Larson Don Branson Memorial at Eldora.
Speed Week has been brought to you by BF Goodrich, makers of high-performance TA radials. We make cars perform. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads. Depend on STP, your car care company.
United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. Nobody knows Hawaii like United. Let the friendly skies bring Hawaii alive.